Welcome to your home tutorials, and you're watching SQL for Beginners tutorial. In this chapter we will learn about insert statement in SQL. What is insert statement? Insert statement is used to add data into a particular table. So here's the syntax: insert into table name, the fields of the table, and then values, and then value 1, value 2, value 3. So insert into and values are the keywords we use. Insert into, and then the table name on which we want to add the data, then the fields in which we want to insert the data, then values, and then under the bracket values we want to insert. We have two syntax. The another syntax is insert into table name, values, and then values we want to insert into a table. The difference is in the above one, the first one, we can specify particular fields in from the table in which we want to add the data, and in the second one uh, we have to insert all the values because we are not specifying any field on in which the value will be inserted. So supposedly we have five fields in the table, so we have to specify value of all the five fields. So let's discuss in detail in the SQL Server Management Studio. We are in the SQL Server Management Studio now, and we will try to insert data into our employee database. And we have three tables in employee database, that is uh, department table, employee table, and amp skills table. So we will try to insert data into these tables, and we will also try to understand the concept of constraints we discussed in my previous video. Here we will see how the constraints affect the insertion of the data into the table. So let's start. I'll first insert data into the department table. I would also like to inform you that department table will be my parent table, because if I say about that we have one foreign key in my employee table which is referring to the department ID field of department table, that is primary key of department table, and then I have amp skills which is related to employee table, and it has amp ID as its foreign key, and the primary key of employee, that is the primary key of the employee ID. So first we insert data into the department. The point to be noted here is when we insert the data, the base table or the parent table must have data into it, because we can't add any rows into our foreign key table or the child table. We can add if we want to have some null keys into it, so we can add an employee, but then I have to specify my department ID in employee table as null. So let's insert some data into department first. I'll be using a simple syntax of insert statement where we don't specify the fields. So the syntax would be insert into are the keywords, and then the table name, that is department. So I'll select from the drop down department. Values are again the keyword, and then I will add the values. And one more point to be noted: when we don't specify any field in my syntax, then we have to add data, the values, in the order as exist in the table, like this. First we have department ID, and then we have department name. Also we cannot leave any column blank, so we have to specify values to all the columns. So I'll say I have department ID 1 and my department name, say ABC. Now I can execute the statement, and it would say one row affected. So now in order to check the data, I can use click on the department table, or right click on the department table, and then edit top 200 rows. By editing top 200 rows, we can insert the data also into the table. So this is the way of inserting data using GUI. So data can be added, like if I want to add 2 here, I will add 2, and then the department name, say DEF, and then I have to click somewhere else, so I click here, then the changes will be committed immediately. So we can insert using GUI as well. So now let's as you can see that we have one ABC using our insert statement. So we'll try to insert another value into it, that is 3, because 2 is already added, and we have primary key constraint def, and then I'll execute it. Or let's complete another statement, insert into department values, I'll say 4, and then I'll say GHI, and then hit execute or press F5. So I have one row is affected and one row is affected 2 times because I have ran 2 statements simultaneously. Let us see if the effects have taken place or not. Yes, so I have department ID as 1, 2, 3, 4, and then department name as ABCDEF Now why I can have 2 DEF? Because we don't have any constraint about duplicate value, we don't have unique key constraint in my department name. But if I try to add another row which is already present, like if I want to add a department ID 3 again, I will not be able to add because department ID is my primary key, and by default primary key is unique and cannot be null. So I'll try to execute these statements again. Let's see what happens. So yes, we have a error, violation of primary key constraint, the name of the constraint, and the message. So, okay, so it also mentions what is the duplicate key. Duplicate key value is 3 and 4 because I already have 3 and 4. So this is how primary key help us in not adding duplicate records into our table or into our database. So this is about department table. Now we will try to add data in my employee table. I'll use another syntax this time. Let us first see which fields do we have and what are the common constraints we have in this. We have emp ID, which have primary key constraint, name, which is have not null constraint, phone number, which can be null, but I think we have another constraint here. I think I have unique key constraint. Let's see it. Then I have address, which is null. It can have null. Age, it can have null. It is int, but I have some check constraint in my age. And then I have date of joining, and I have default value constraint in my date of joining. Then I have department ID, which is a foreign key. So first of all, let's see this table in using sp_help stored procedure, and the table name sp_help employee. We can see the details of the table using this stored procedure. So press F5. I'll just drag this a little up so you can see the columns available with us. And then the indexes, we have 2 indexes, that is primary key and unique key. We have constraints. Check on column age, the name of the constraint, it is enabled, and what is the constraint. I'll just move it to the left and then see age can either be greater than equal to 18 or less than equal to 58. So we can only have age between the range 18 and 58. We cannot add 17, we cannot insert 59. And then we have default on my date of joining, and default is get date, and get date means that current date of the system. So if we don't specify any value for my date of joining, it will be adding the current date. That would be 13th of October 2017. And then we have foreign key constraint on department ID, and then we have primary constraint, that is employee ID, then unique constraint phone number. So this is phone number, I cannot have duplicate values in my phone number as well. So let's try to insert data using second syntax in which we will specify some value. So I'll say insert into, these are the keywords, then the table name will be employee, and then the column name. So emp id, I know it's my primary key that I need to specify. Then name cannot be null, I'll specify name, and then phone number can be null, I'll keep it as it is, I will not use phone number. Then I will not be using address because it can also have null. Age can have null, but I want to add it. I'll say age. Then I will not be using date of joining. Then I will have depti underscore id, which is my primary key, and then the values keyword, and then the values. Now these fields can be in any order, and we have to specify values in the order in which we specify the fields. So currently I'm using it like we have in the table. So let's start with 101 as my amp id, and then name, say Nikhil Gupta, and then I have age, I try to put 17. Please remember that I have a constraint that I cannot have less than 18. And then I'll have department ID. One more thing about foreign key, that we can only have values which are present in my primary key table. That is, I can only use from 1 2 3 4. So I'll use 1, say, and that will be in the quotes. 17 is not in quotes, 17, because it is an integer value, and we can have integer without quotes while inserting the data. So let's try to insert the data and we'll see what data is entered. So I'll click on execute. Now the insert statement conflicted with check constraint because I cannot have age less than 17 or greater than 58. So let's try to add it like 20 and click on execute, and I'll have one row affected. Now see, let's check what is into my table. Edit top 200 rows, and I have amp id as 101 as specified here. Then I have Nikhil Gupta as my name, phone number as null because I haven't specified it, so it is null. I haven't specified address, so it is null. I have specified age as 20, so it is 20. I haven't specified DOJ, so it's current date. It's 13th of October 2017, and then the department ID 1. Now let's try to insert another record. I'll just change this one and I'll say Himanshu Wama, the age, and I want to add date of joining this time, so I'll add date of joining, say before the age, so that I can show you that it doesn't matter in which order we specify the fields, but if we have to specify the values in the order we specify the field here. So we put, say 2017 4 and 4, and then I'll just click on execute here, and I have a validation of primary key because I haven't changed my primary key. So let's change it to 102 and try to execute again. I have unique key constraint. Why I have unique key constraint and where I have a unique key constraint? I have unique key constraint as null value, and I have unique key column name, phone number. So I have already had one null into my phone number, so I cannot have two nulls in SQL Server. Please note that it only happens with SQL Server because SQL Server doesn't allow two nulls in or multiple nulls in my unique column. But if I talk about the standard, the ANSI standard, the unique key column can have multiple values, null values, and zero duplicate value. But in my case, I have to specify the phone number, so I just add phone number somewhere here. I'll use phone number, comma age, and add phone number here. Let's say okay, I think I'm on the wrong place here. I have amp ID, I have name, I have phone number, then age, then department. I think I'm missing DOJ out here, so I'll add DOJ, comma age, and I'll have phone number here. So it will be something, and then I'll click on execute, and I have one row affected. So let's check the data. So now I have 102 as Himanshu Verma, then I have phone number, address is still null, and then I have age, then the date of joining. Now date of joining is the one I specified, it doesn't use default. Now the department ID is 1. Now let's try to change the data now. I'll have 103. I can have multiple Himanshu Verma because name is doesn't have unique key constraint. This will do have, so I'll change it to something. Let it be as it is. I'll change something here, and then I'll try to add say 5 here, and let's execute. This is my department ID, which is a foreign key, and 5. I don't have any 5 in my department table, so I'll execute. The insert statement now conflicted with the foreign key because we don't have any department whose ID is 5. So I can use null here. I can use null here because we can have null into our foreign keys. The reason is behind adding null key into my foreign key is sometimes we can't have decided that we have decided that this employee is coming to our company, but we haven't decided yet in which department we will put that employee. So we, for the meantime, we can use null, and when we decided some department to it, we can update it. So now this will be having null, and then 5 will give me error or 6 will give me error. I can only choose from the data I have available in my department table, that is 1 2 3 4. So this is how we can we use foreign key constraint. Foreign key doesn't allow any false value into our tables. We can only use the data from our parent table. So let's try to insert the age with 59 now. Let's make it 59, and then I'll try to execute it after changing it to 104. Say I'll add some name. I'll say, and I'll execute it. Now unique key constraint because I haven't changed the mobile yet, so I'll change the phone number, and then of age should be 59, and then I'll execute. Then insert statement will be conflicted with check because my age is in between 18 and 58, so I'll just add 58 and execute, and yes, it's gone. So yes, we have another value in my employee table, that is 104. I use chain 58 this, and again my department ID is null. So I can have multiple null in my foreign key, but I cannot use any value other than the value which is available in my parent table. Now let's start try to use another syntax in employee table to add the data. So let's insert into, and then I have table name employee, and then values. I'm not using the fields this time. So what if I want to skip some fields? Let's try to add another value like 105, and then I want to use name as someone Sahil Gupta say, and then I'll use phone number, and then I'll use want to use null in address, and then I'll say 26. Then I'll say I don't want to use DOJ, I want to give it some value, some default value, and then department ID say 4, and then try to execute. I'll have an error. Columns name or number of supplier values does not match the table definition. So if we don't use fields here, we have to specify all the fields. If we want to keep it null, we can keep it null, and this is how we can use it. So let's give values to address. I want to give it null, so I have to give it null. 26 is my age, and I want to use default value, which I cannot if I don't specify the column. So I'll use get date, and then I have department ID, so I'll use it like say 3, and then I'll execute it. Now on reflected. So if I don't use any fields here and directly use values, so that I have to supply all the values I have for all the columns I have in my table. So let's see now. In my employee table, let's execute. I have another value and all the values out here. Now if we want to edit using GUI, I can edit it. So I can change the age to something, and yes, I have clicking on some another row, the changes will be committed immediately. So this is how the insert statement work, and how the constraints come into the picture, unique key constraint, or whether it is primary key or foreign key. So I hope you understood the concept of all the constraints while inserting the data, how they come into the picture. So this is all about the insert statement and the constraints implementation. I hope you liked my video, and if you liked my video, please click on like button and please hit subscribe button as well to see my future videos in this tutorial. Also, please don't forget to click on bell button for notification. Whenever I add new video, you can see the addition of my new video in this tutorial. So thank you very much, and have a nice time.